Hey everybody, welcome to Fantasy R&R. This is your host Ryan.
And I'm Rob.
And this is our Week 9 preview.
This is Fantasy with Rob and Ryan, Fantasy R&R.
Let's go ahead and get started with our Thursday Night Football matchup.
Jets at Colts.
I'm going to go ahead and pick Jonathan Taylor to get another 100-yard rushing game. He's had 3 this season. His last game, 70 yards. He's always pretty much been capped under 20 attempts, but he has a touchdown each of his last 5 games, and he's going up against a very porous Jets defense that is allowing tons of fantasy points to running backs this year. Take Jonathan Taylor as your RB1 this week.
Yep, and I'm staying on the same side of the ball, looking at Michael Pittman Jr. I believe we're looking at a true breakout this year, potentially a wide receiver 1, definitely a wide receiver 2 for sure. Last week was a huge game for him. I believe we're going to continue seeing him producing at this rate going forward.
Vikings at Ravens.
For this matchup, I'm going to say that Rashad Bateman has an actual breakout game with Lamar Jackson going up against the Minnesota Vikings at home. We saw him post 3 receptions for 80 yards. He did have 6 targets too, and he's starting to establish himself in the pecking order as one of the top options for Lamar Jackson. It seems that Mark Andrews is always going to be the main guy, and Marquise Brown is going to be the speedster down the field. But with Sammy Watkins continuously sidelined by a hamstring injury, Bateman is going to have an increased role for the rest of the season. Watch for him to get his first touchdown this week.
Yeah, you're the reason I picked him up everywhere. I'm going with Bateman as well. I believe it's only a matter of time, and I think this Vikings defense is going to give him enough room to post what I'm going to believe is about 100-yard. Definitely his first touchdown. Lamar Jackson's going to be scrambling, we know that, and he's going to be having to pass the ball, especially after that embarrassing loss last week against 2 weeks ago against the Bengals. I believe Rashad Bateman, I'm staying with you on that one. He is going to break out and be a priority pickup going into next week.
Patriots at Panthers.
We're probably going to see McCaffrey be held out of a couple practices again and then held out of this game so he gets one more week without having to admit they should have kept him on the IR for longer. He is showing up at practice, but he's not doing any drills. He's completely, once again, saying he's hopeful that McCaffrey plays this week, but if not, we'll play in Week 10. Tells you all you need to know. Just be prepared to replace McCaffrey with somebody else on your bench.
I'm going Mac Jones in this game. Don't look now, but Mac Jones is starting to look pretty dang good. Seems very, very accurate right now. It seems like he's getting comfortable with the play calling, the playbook, and the Patriots are benefiting with it. I think Mac Jones, with this lackluster Panthers defense, is going to have himself a nice big game this week.
Browns at Bengals.
For this game, I think that Joe Burrow is going to be an excellent streaming option. People love the Browns defense because of guys like Myles Garrett, but the issue right now is that, as it stands, the Browns defense is letting up over 300 passing yards per game. They're ranked like 21 in the NFL in overall defense. The Browns are actually doing quite poorly. Joe Burrow is going to be the guy that you want to use this week. Let's say that you've got Aaron Rodgers, he's out. You got Joe Burrow as a backup. This is the time to use him. Don't go looking anywhere else. And I'd even say that you might want to consider Joe Burrow over maybe some of your veteran quarterbacks of this season that have been working out. Veteran as far as fantasy goes, like Jalen Hurts. Joe Burrow is going to be your guy.
Forget about OBJ. I'm looking at DPJ. I believe I'm going to be a week early on that Donovan Peoples-Jones call that I made a week ago. I believe this is going to be his week with OBJ being completely out of the picture, it appears. I believe the ball's got to go to somebody. Donovan Peoples-Jones and Baker Mayfield, as long as Mayfield plays this week, looked really, really good connecting together a few weeks ago where he put up over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'm looking at DPJ making a name for himself this week against the Bengals defense, which seemed pretty suspect last week against the Jets.
Broncos at Cowboys.
Jerry Jeudy is going to be your wide receiver 2 or flex 1 this week. Cortland Sutton is going to be getting covered by Trevon Diggs, who's having an amazing season with the Cowboys as their main cornerback, getting tons of picks. And on top of that, Dak Prescott is on track to play. They're saying that he's going to be going. So this could be a high-scoring game between what has been an underwhelming Broncos defense, kind of disappointing actually, and then a Cowboys defense that also can't do anything on that side of the ball. So with Bridgewater being healthy and Dak Prescott probably forcing the Broncos to throw a lot more to keep up, you're going to see them going to Jerry Jeudy over and over. Get him into your lineup.
I think this is the week that Dalton Schultz's name is called a couple times again, with Dak Prescott looking like he is going to play this week. Dak had already been quoted earlier in the season saying that he wanted to go to his tight ends more, so So I do believe that Schultz is going to get a majority of the targets in this game, and I believe will score, if not one, maybe 2 touchdowns for Dalton Schultz this week.
Bills at Jaguars.
One of the more impressive defenses of this season, the Buffalo Bills are on track to have a great performance here. We've been a little leery of starting other defenses against the Jags because we've seen that Trevor Lawrence can kind of get some of those garbage time points, and James Robinson has been pretty productive on the field as a running back. Well, that could change this week as James Robinson is reportedly on track to not play against the Bills at home in Jacksonville. The Bills will be coming in to absolutely demolish the Jaguars, who were only able to put up 1 touchdown against the Seahawks last week, who were helmed by Geno Smith. The Bills are going to be an excellent option for multiple sacks in a porous Jacksonville offensive line, and we're probably going to see a pick or 2 off of Trevor Lawrence.
Yep, I'm going Bills offense here. Every wide receiver, start any offensive player you have for the Bills this game, because I'm envisioning here the Oprah Winfrey meme. Everyone's getting a touchdown against this porous Jaguars defense. Start your Bills this week. They are going to demolish the Jags.
Texans at Dolphins.
This is going to be Jalen Waddle territory. This is the perfect storm. Jalen Waddle, in my opinion, has also already been impressive on the season, so I would have no problem starting him every week. But this particular week, we're looking at Houston as their matchup, which is going to be a cakewalk. Tua's going to be healthy. He's going to be looking to throw and keep his job. And on top of that, we're seeing Devontae Parker once again added to the injury report list, and he might not play this week. So Jalen Waddle and Jasicki, for example, are going to be your top targets. And Waddle is incredibly fast. We're probably going to see him burn down the field in Houston and get a lot of fucking touches this time.
Yeah, and I'm going the running game this one. I believe Houston's defense is so bad they can't stop any runner whatsoever. So Myles Gaskin is back for one night only against Houston. I say play him this week. He had kind of a poor performance last week, like I figured he would. After, again, another good week 2 weeks ago, so he's up and down, meaning it appears he will have a good week this week against a very, very bad rush defense with the Texans. Go Myles Gaskin.
Falcons at Saints.
Okay, unfortunately, Taysom Hill did not clear NFL concussion protocol last week, so he never got to play. But this week, they are saying he's on track to play. You saw Trevor Siemian become the Brady killer last week, and I doubt they're actually going to go with him on purpose to start the game if Taysom Hill's healthy. So once again, I'm calling Taysom Hill on this one. Going up against Atlanta's terrible defense, we're probably going to see a lot of Swiss Army knife plays. Taysom Hill can throw the ball, and you're going to probably see something about maybe like 50 rushing yards, 150 passing yards, and a couple of touchdowns, 1 through the air, 1 on the ground. Taysom Hill is going to be a great streaming option at QB this week.
Yeah, and I'm going Russell Gage. I like what the Falcons have been doing per se offensively. They've been trying their best, feeding the ball a little too much to Kyle Pitts, I feel like, so they got to spread the ball a little bit more. We saw it 2 weeks ago with Russell Gage. Last week, not so much. I believe this is going to be the week that Russell Gage bounces back and see if the Falcons can win a game. Who knows?
Raiders at Giants.
All right, I feel like Hunter Renfrow is actually going to be the better option for the Raiders than Bryan Edwards when you're trying to replace guys like Henry Ruggs, who was doing his best Paul Walker impression the other night as he got his DUI. Bryan Edwards did get the touchdown last week, but he is lacking in the target department. In fact, he usually gets about 50% of the targets that Hunter Renfrow does. Darren Waller's kind of been in and out, and they're using their backup tight end a lot. I would say that Hunter Renfrow is going to be your safe play as a wide receiver 3 or flex 2 position.
Let me ask you a question. Do you like pain? Do you like maybe getting points in fantasy football? Well, in that case, start a Giants receiver or tight end or a running back. Who knows? They might just do that for you. Again, if you like pain, let's go Giants. The G-Men have a very tough game here against the Raiders, and I don't know if I would start any Giants player. So that is my advice to you.
Chargers at Eagles.
This is going to be a Boston Scott repeat week up against the Detroit Lions. It was an absolute blowout. Jalen Hurts barely threw the ball, and they started to do a 3-headed attack with Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, and Kenneth Gainwell. Usually Gainwell does a lot of the receiving work, but he didn't last week. Instead, he had a bunch of carries and a very poor yards per carry average. Boston Scott did not, however, having 12 attempts for 60 yards and 2 TDs on the ground. So what we're going to see here is Boston Scott as the 2 down man. We're going to see Jordan Howard doing goal line, short yard work, and we're going to see Gainwell doing change of pace, 3rd down receiving back. So Boston Scott, I think you could probably put him into your RB2 positions if you're missing someone like Saquon Barkley this week and expect to get a decent workload out of him.
I'm going to passing games for the Eagles this one. Dallas Goddard, he's been a mainstay on one of my teams, has been doing very well. Hurts has got to get going eventually. With the throwing game, last week we didn't see it so much, but Goddard, for whatever reason, has been a very, very solid target for him. I believe that continues against the Chargers defense, has been letting up some touchdowns. Let's see Dallas Goddard continue a very strong season for the Eagles this week.
Packers at Chiefs.
So Aaron Rodgers is going to be out in this game against the Chiefs with COVID. Whether or not he was vaccinated or immunized, we have no idea at this point. God knows what he meant about that. Who really cares? But the big thing here is his backup quarterback also going to be on the protocol. They even signed up Blake Bortles from the practice squad to the active roster. But the word is that Jordan Love, barring any other negative problems like him testing positive later in the week, he's going to be the starting quarterback in this game. He was very impressive at Utah State in 2018. In 2020, he gets drafted first round by Packers, which was very surprising. So he's been obviously a useful weapon in a lot of aspects, and we're probably going to see him have his breakout performance here. He's learning under Aaron Rodgers. He's got a good arm. He's just had some time to kind of take it easy on the bench. I'm thinking he could put up 250 to 300 yards against this terrible Kansas City defense. Watch for Jordan Love to surprise in his first NFL start.
Yeah, and with that, it's going to be interesting to see who Jordan Love is going to throw to in this game. Again, this Chiefs defense has been bad all season, so I believe there's going to be somebody opposite of Adams that's going to be fed the ball. And why not Allen Lazard? Supposed to be coming back after the COVID last week, was projected to have a great share of targets before getting COVID against the Cardinals last week. So I say, why not Allen Lazard? Let's take a close look at him. He should be wildly available and could be a potential very strong flex play this week against the Chiefs.
Cardinals at 49ers.
Keep your eye on the Trey Sermon situation. Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel both out of practice. That's two of their main weapons, and JaMychal Hasty is a bit of an injury risk. Because they already don't trust Brandon Nyuk a lot, it's going to be hard to say exactly what the 49ers are planning on doing in this game, but up against the Arizona Cardinals, they're going to need every weapon they can get. We don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play yet, but Trey Sermon could be somebody that they try to pepper back into the offense to get a bit of a change of pace going in what might be a stagnant offensive start for the 49ers. Keep your eye on the injury report this week, and don't be afraid to play Sermon as a flex too.
Yeah, this 49ers offense has been a mess all season. I'm going back to one guy that we've been talking about, Brandon Nyuk. Let's go, Brandon! I believe it's about to be a thing. He's been getting, as you were saying, peppered in more with the offense the past couple weeks. I would not be shocked with Deebo missing time. Somebody's got to be fed the ball here again. And why not Ayuk? Let's see if this can happen. Let's not forget, this guy was pretty solid last year. And if he's able to have a good game against the Cardinals going forward, Brandon Ayuk could be a thing. But it all has to start with Week 9.
Titans at Rams.
Jeremy McNichols is going to be good as your RB2 or Flex 1 this week. He's going up against a tough Rams defense who just traded for Von Miller. They're going to have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, but those guys are going to be busy for the bulk of the game. Even when Derrick Henry was out, Jeremy McNichols still got 12 targets, 74 yards in the air week 4 against the Jets, for example. He's always going to be heavily involved in the passing game, so he's going to be better for you in PPR formats than PPY formats. Adrian Peterson is getting picked up amongst leaves. I expect to see him take most of the first and second down carries, probably for about 2 to 5 yards, and then they're going to do some desperation passing to Jeremy McNichols. Don't be afraid to start him in PPR formats.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here on this one, Ryan. I believe that Jeremy McNichols could end up becoming a J.D. McKissick 2.0 like we have with the Washington football team. I believe he could be a dink and doink kind of running back. I believe he'll get more targets in the throwing game than in the rushing game, as it has happened so far this season with Tennessee. It's very hard for me to believe that Adrian Peterson's going to come in and just start and run away with the job. Very hard for me to believe. He's got to learn the playbook. It's not going to happen overnight. Let's look for McNichols to be a McKissick going forward for the Tennessee Titans.
Bears at Steelers.
I think Pat Freiermuth is probably going to strike again, have a repeat of last week with the touchdown we called. Eric Ebron, even though he might be on track to play this week, He's been using the warm pool for his hamstring, meaning there's probably still some tenderness there, and Ben Roethlisberger has been struggling trying to get the ball to Claypool and Deontay Johnson. Najee Harris probably going to be running wild and setting the game script against the Bears, so when it comes time for Ben Roethlisberger to get some confidence and make some easy passes, he's got a great target in Freiermuth. Watch for him to get another touchdown this week.
Yep, and I'm looking at a development here of Justin Fields. Is this going to become a thing? Will Allen Robinson ever score a touchdown? Is it potential that Darnell Mooney could get over 100 yards? I think this week could be the week. Let's see. Steelers defense has been subpar so far this season, and I do believe that Fields is a good quarterback. I just want to see if this can be a regularity going forward.
And that's going to do it for our Week 9 preview. Set your lineups, but if you lose, don't blame it on us. You didn't hear it from us. Once again, this is Fantasy R&R with Rob and Ryan. We will see you next time.
And don't forget, kids, drinking and driving doesn't mix.